Planning, back for more Low 5 Gaming.
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, pretty good, bud. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Low 5 Gaming podcast. This is Alex and my bro,
Luke. Hi.
So much excitement.
I wasn't ready for that. I was like,
My
"Woo!"
name is Luke. Well, cool, man. Nice to be back at it. And this time, we've got a few things to talk about, but the number one banger, right off the bat, what a shitty analogy for a golf game. Anyways,
yeah, right off
let's
the tee.
tee off.
Let's tee off.
Let's tee off with some Mario Golf, bro.
Oof. To start, we planned on playing this for a full month and then doing a pod, but it looks like we can say everything we need to say after about a week. We'll get into that later.
I think here's one of those things. Like, I think that we could have done like a super deep dive Mario Golf, but for the game that we received, I think this works just fine.
Oh yeah, we'll get everything we need to say now, and then we could actually revisit it in like a year.
Yeah,
because they snuck it into their E3 presentation, but they're going to have a lot of post-launch content, which is key for the game is not finished.
Right.
But we're going to give you something.
I hate that about video games these days, dude. Like, just give us a fucking... Well, everything's digital, but like, I want my cart.
Well, yeah.
I want my
here's
CD.
The thing,
I want whatever.
Tie back to some of our previous collector boy themes is that I'm always super excited to get the cartridge. So if I get the cartridge on launch and I boot it up into a Switch, X amount of years from now, I'll have this base game and not what the game turns into.
I guess that's true.
Which probably won't matter. Definitely probably won't matter. But like, that is a source of frustration when I buy the physical media. But we'll get into all that later.
Yeah. The day one downloads is always kind of annoying too. It's like, really? I mean, whatever.
I mean, so a lot of the times it has to do with like how intense these games have gotten and the bugs and the whole process and publishers and yada yada yada. Listen to smarter people talk about that. But I'll just say with Nintendo, like, you guys are so secretive. There's no way, like, if you just didn't let us know it wasn't ready yet and you just kept cooking on it, no one ever would have known. And it's not like, this isn't Red Dead Redemption 2 as far as graphic fidelity. Like, this is Mario Golf, bro. Like,
sure.
I can't imagine how this wasn't delivered on time, other than the pandemic, but I guess,
I will say
I'll
that when the Switch first dropped, Mario Golf was like one of the games I was like, please give me a Mario Golf, because we have a little bit of history playing this game. I don't know if everybody loves this game. I love this game. The franchise, anyways, or what do you call it? The series franchise? I don't know. Mario Golf, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Our personal hype train was quite strong. I remember the release that they were coming out with Mario Tennis, and I was like, dope, but it's not Mario Golf. Where's my Mario Golf at? And we've had a lot of threads over the years just being like, where is my Mario Golf? And I have, like, I don't know if I talked about it on our Rumored Metroid podcast. I think we briefly touched on, like, games we'd like to make. I have a whole ridiculous harebrained thing of what I'd like Mario Golf to do story-wise, and I think it would be hilarious, but, like, needless to say, I was pretty ignorant as soon as they released the information that this game was going to come out. I've been convincing other people they should buy it. I've been like, oh, it's going to be so great, man. It's going to be the game of the summer, and it is here.
It is cool. Game of the summer? Here. I don't know. I'm going to play it this summer.
I will play me a lot of Mario Golf, but been playing since release.
So needless to say, though, the personal hype train, maybe like we'll see how the overall market does with this game, if people actually buy it or not. I'm happy to have it. I know that the preliminary, like, kind of rumblings I've heard on the internet is this game is incomplete, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Which is fair. I don't think it's as robust as I thought it would be. I actually did finish. There's a couple different game modes. The main being adventure mode, and then the other one, or was it solo play? There's definitely solo challenge mode, which I fuck with.
The score attack.
And then it's just, I think it's just regular golf or something, right?
So it's like play, solo challenges, challenge, which was quite the shock when I opened it up, because I thought a full game was typically there.
Sure.
And then for context, I did get into Mario Tennis, and I actually, the long tail of it, as far as sales are concerned and updates are concerned, like, I actually really did like Mario Tennis in the end, and it was a tiny bit incomplete. But what Mario Tennis did is, on release, they had most of the game modes in base gameplay, and then they slowly updated, like, every month when you entered the tournament mode and played online with someone, you got a free character, which was really cool, and it actually encouraged me, like, month after month, I was picking it up, putting a few extra hours into it, getting back into it, and it was nice. It gave it extra long life. That being said, Mario Tennis had a little bit more to do on launch than this one does, so this is like, they took that formula, and they're like, that formula is great. And then they released it, and then So as far as like anyone doing a review of this game, you might as well come back to it in a year later and see what's good.
I mean, I hope that is the plan, to release more stuff.
Well, they've said as much, but how much and what it is and what pace it comes at.
Sure.
Yeah, because like since E3, they said you're going to get post-launch content.
Okay.
And
which is a nice way of just being like, here's this game, but we're not done.
It's not done. Yep. And then you can see the characters. When you pick the characters, you can see they left space. So you can kind of more or less tentatively plot out how many characters there's going to be. And although they got some of the main, like you had to have like a Bowser course, right?
Yeah.
You had to, but like there's clearly there's room for new courses.
Sure. There's not that many courses. Is there three or four? There's not that many. Is it 5?
It's like the rookie.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, there's 5. You're right.
They got your classic Mario Desert one. They got like a windy, rainy forest one. They got the castle. They have a rookie one, and then just like one that's similar to the rookie beginner. That's very base.
Sure. So, so I just fired it up because I wanted to be for sure. So there's the Play Golf, which allows you to do a couple different golf modes. The Golf Adventure, the Solo Challenge, a golf guide, which is basically just a tutorial, and then your play stats and Solo Challenge.
Yeah, so like the biggest omission here as far as game modes are concerned, in my opinion, and I know you texted me without prompting, like without me already revealing it to you, is there's no like tournament mode. There's no like this is the Bowser Castle Open or whatever, where you're competing with just a gang of Mario characters, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're trying to keep up with their scores. So like you can play against up to however many, computers, but it's not a tournament. It's not, it doesn't have the same feeling. It's not like, I can think of best comparison would be like in Mario Kart. Mm-hmm. In Mario Kart, you can just like whatever your CC level is, and it's like, ooh, I got the gold medal, got 100, like first place on each one, so I got the gold medal on this track at this speed, and like that's as a gamer, that's the kind of thing I like. So I was a little bummed that wasn't there.
And it is lacking. And it's weird because at first I was like, what the fuck? There's no tournament mode? Like there has to be. And I thought about it, and it's like, well, I can see why they maybe made that concession because like, so I finished the adventure mode.
Okay.
And the adventure mode's pretty cool. Like I don't know, it's I think it's definitely modeled for first time Mario golfers because it's essentially holds your hand throughout, and it over time you get to learn new techniques, etc. So it basically teaches you the game in this long drawn out tutorial. Yeah.
Every character when they speak the text and they just reuse the voice, so it's like
totally.
It's
and this is not too undifferent from like what is it? Not Toadstool Tour, but maybe it is. There's a Game Boy Advance Mario Golf that like, I don't know which one introduced the RPG aspect to the game.
Yeah.
So I might look into that and add it in the show notes or some shit, or interject later on. Hey, Alex here in post. I did some light digging, and it turns out that Mario Golf for Game Boy Color was the first Mario Golf game to introduce RPG elements. Pretty cool tidbit about the game is that it provides the capability to interact with its Nintendo 64 counterpart, of which it was released just 6 months after in October of 1999. But the people like that. I guess, right? Is that a thing?
Yeah, and it is okay. Like sometimes, like I know the cross-country golf. I think that's like the second course you get to where you're on the mountains. Like that was actually a pretty cool gimmick. I failed it the first time, and I was like, oh, cool. Like when you fail in these games, it actually feels good. Cause
I never failed, bro. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, sure.
That's true.
They skew easy over an accessibility, which, with Nintendo, as us grown adults, need to remind ourselves that these are games primarily made to introduce children to the nostalgia train.
And I did feel like the adventure mode was that. I think it was first time Mario golfers, and then it just skewed. I definitely felt like they were, which is fine. It's Nintendo, and it's kids' game. It is for kids. But
I thought that would skew for adults, and I thought the whole speed golf was definitely going to be like the kid party mode. And even with the speed golf, it's like you can go play some, and it's integrated into the story, which is cool. It gives you different variances, but like...
And the speed golf is basically everybody tees off at the same time, and then you actually control your character and run after the ball as you all can, and you're trying to, 1, get the lowest score, regular golf stuff, and then 2, in the least amount of time.
Yeah, well, the way they do that is each stroke counts as 30 seconds.
Right.
So, if you birdie it, you're going to have a natural advantage of 30 seconds versus someone who parred. So, yeah. So, you could, patiently tee up all your shots and look at all the angles and get a birdie, but I could just sloppily run through it and get a par. And there's your little trade-off. And it's kind of cool. I did when I first saw that upon and there's the speed mode. I was like, gross. And then it was way more fun.
It's integrated well. I think the adventure mode or whatever the hell it's called definitely integrates it well. You're not just speed golf the whole time. It kind of depends on what you're doing. They introduce you to all the courses. They say that there's some weather problems, so you can't do the second half. So it's an interesting way of showing you the maps that they do have, introducing you to different gameplay styles or options that they have in this game. And kind of giving you a little bit, and it's kind of cool. The RPG part of it, where you're upgrading your Mii golfer, it's kind of fun. It definitely gets to an addicting point where you're like, well, I gotta keep upping my stats, and that type of thing. And you definitely become a way better golfer by the time you're done with that mode.
Well, what's funny is I got the game days before you due to your pre-order shenanigans, which was hilarious.
Yeah, Best Buy, what gives?
What gives Best Buy? Come on now. You can't pre-order a game and have
I ain't
it on
above that.
Atlanta.
That's my money. If you want to sponsor this podcast, you gotta start sending me those pre-orders on time.
Yeah, give me my pre-order on time. No, but I haven't even completed the storyline. I'll just get kind of burnt out. / I know how short it is. I saw the reviews. I saw my friends beat it already. So I just immediately was like, well, I like to go to the low score mode and I like to play the course. That was my first thing to do.
Right on.
So I wanted to crush the courses and so I even haven't gotten into it as far. I'm pretty far. I don't like the boss battles. I will be spoiler free here, but have you played Golf Story on the Switch or PC or anything like that? Do you know what I'm speaking of though?
Yep.
So it's this cute little indie game, and it does the RPG kind of story, wacky, goofy element a lot better than this, and it's hard not to think of that. But Nintendo's out here trying. It's a bigger audience. It's a bigger...
I feel like Golf Story is one of those games that took a formula that maybe started in Mario Golf and then perfected it. So it's
to be fair,
it's like your Axiom Verge type of thing. Although I think Metroid's perfect. But, it's that idea, so you take a game that maybe Nintendo's not putting the love into that it needs. There's probably better examples for this. But yeah. So I think that's Golf Story.
Yeah. So the, short story long, adventure mode's cool. Yeah. It's only about 5 hours. And it's if you're not a super competitive online gamer, once you're done with adventure mode, it's kind of you have to make your own fun. Mm-hmm. And if you want to play against the computers, although that's cool, there's no difficulty yet on the computers.
Right.
And, apologies here, but they're dog shit at golf. The computers are rarely presenting a challenge worthy, and I'm dang,
it's the AI thing, or however
how hard
that
is
works.
A slider, you know what I mean? To put the difficulty to hard, medium, easy.
Nah, it's tricky too because I've done a couple solo challenge modes or whatever, and
the score attack
or score attack. But I guess that's playing against myself. Anyways, I guess there are times where I've played against a computer and they might just be rocking it, right? Mm-hmm. But then all of a sudden they'll get a quadruple bogey out of nowhere, and it's where'd that come from?
You'll see them line up a putt, and you're just that never had a chance. Yeah. What? Which, to go back to, you make your own fun in the game. You kind of got to set up your own parameters, your own challenges. That's kind of missing. You're more inclined, if you care about the gameplay, and you're not a child, you're going to probably want to enjoy the score attack more so than play, or online perhaps against humans.
Sure.
One last thing I'll say before I get too negative, the golf gameplay itself is phenomenal.
Good.
I very much enjoy... They got rid of that arc that used to be able to kind of cheese it almost, you could see the perfect...
Where it was going to land and everything.
Well, yeah, they kind of give you the general area of where it's going to land, but the whole arc, so you're oh, I think I can avoid trees here, and they take a little bit of that away from you. Mm-hmm. But the rangefinder, do you use that or no?
Not really.
I was talking to my buddy Ben. He's I never use the rangefinder. He just uses the overhead view.
Same. I'm gonna beat you in this game later.
Yeah, I know, right? But I'm using that rangefinder so hard.
Every single time I tee off, actually every single shot, I quick press X, possibly in an overhead view, and that will do quick math because it tells you what your distance is, and I kind of take a educated guess at where I should hit on the power meter, and I go at it.
But although it's not super changed from even Toadstool Tour, which I believe is the GameCube one that we played. So. Yep. The mechanics haven't changed a bunch, but that's actually took away really
super topspin, bro.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Where is my super topspin, Nintendo?
I can get a super backspin, but no super topspin.
Yeah, I did find that interesting.
It's what are you doing to me?
So it's very similar to that same gameplay base, but they nailed it. And sometimes I hate when you mess with a successful formula. You look at a good example of it is in Mario Kart. I actually like the double dash stuff, but sometimes you can modernize your game stuff, but like you got to keep some of the stuff. Sure. And like the putting and the very arcadey style of golf gameplay is actually what I've been missing a ton. This has been a game that I've hyped up so hard because I love the GameCube one so much. And they deliver on the gameplay. So like when you're looking at what was delivered versus what was promised, it's like, okay, I want more game modes. I want some difficulty spikes. I want some things to keep me playing. But like if they add like, I don't know. I haven't had experience with post-launch difficulty updates.
Sure.
I know that Mario Tennis like added game modes straight up and like challenges, so I know
that's
they can
do. That's what I
do.
hope happens here.
Yeah.
Some harder games, challenges, or whatever.
Yeah.
There's one thing about you bring up the gameplay and the features and everything. There's one thing that's different that I thought was very interesting. So in past Mario Golfs, you have your power meter, and if you hit the top, that's like a perfect shot. If you get a full 100% or whatever, that will be your nice shot. In this one, there's an interesting new aspect where it's, I forget what they call it. It's like a hazard meter of sorts or whatever. So as you go up, depending on where the ball lies, so if you're in the rough, this thing can get bigger. But as you go up on the power meter, there's like this red area that kind of fans out, right?
It's like a cone almost.
Right. So at the top, if it's really wide, there's more of a probability that if you decide that you want to put the power up there, you could,
the variance.
Yeah, so that can mess up your shot, right?
Reward,
so if it's right in the center, like in the center being with the width of the power gauge, then it's still a good shot. But it can randomly fall outside of that, which can make it so you duff the shot or whatever. Which is interesting.
Have you figured out if it's to the left, so it reads into the right, that means you were early?
I'm not sure.
If you're on the right, I think you're late.
But I don't think you have control over it, right?
I think you do, because I think it's timing based.
Is it?
Yeah, because it used to go, you had a full meter and you go all the way up.
Right.
And then you go back down. Now it goes all the way up, and then another one goes all the way up. So the first one's like, what's your power? And the second one's, what's your accuracy? And I'm pretty sure that based on when you click, if it's early, it's like to the left in this red. And this is making for awful audio podcasting. You're just going to have to see it, and if you played it, and you'll know what we mean. And that is a cool, like, little deal. And I know you're really excited to talk about your Mii, so Nintendo.
Well, I think that's part of the adventure mode, right? So like,
you definitely
part of the
to,
golf adventure, you can't play the adventure as Mario, or you can't choose your character. That's in the play golf section. So the golf adventure, just like in the Game Boy Advance game, and the DS games as well, I know for sure, like the 3DS golf, Mario Golf has this as well, but you have to play as your Mii, which is whatever, dude. Like, I mean, it's fine. Like you and
Nintendo brought Wii to the party. We got the Mii's to the party, dude. What? You're not pumped? You got to go to the Nintendo party, but Mii's are there.
Man. They just won't let them go. I'm like, what? These Mii's are dumb. But then they're like, I don't know.
You end up growing these memes.
Dude. You end up growing an affinity for them, I guess. Like, I don't know. I could do without.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you couldn't like pick any character, and maybe it's just like I don't know. I'm just like, why do I have to play as my Mii? That's all I really wanted to say about that. And I will say this, though. I did do one online match. And, through this golf adventure mode, you upgrade your Mii. It's got the RPG aspects. So I go in, and this is kind of golf for you, but I go into the game, and I was like, fuck it, I want to play as my Mii because I've been putting all this time into him. And he'll be able to do well out there in the internets.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting matched with this dude that his Mii could drive like 320 yards or some bullshit.
The Mii's are overpowered.
Yeah, well, they can be, yeah. If you're putting the time into it or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, the thing about that is, though, okay, it's tight. So it definitely gave that person I was playing against a very strong advantage. But it's still golf, right? So, like, even though he could drive he would never land on we played a course where he could never drive all the way to the green. That would have given him a very, like, high advantage. But he could get there maybe 20, 30 yards away, so he still had to give a chip shot, which, maybe he chipped it in, and then I'm fucked. But, like, a lot of times he didn't. So I could still get to the green with 2 shots as well. So we actually stayed pretty close. But then there was one time I was behind this tree, and this is another new thing that they added. So on your power, you can use so you have control of your fade or your draw.
Ooh, look at those golf terms.
Right?
Someone's been in the golf guide. Someone's been in the Mario Golf guide.
Right.
There we go.
But so when you put your power up, and then on the like when they're about to swing, you can use the left joystick to control, and depending on how good your control is in different sections of the flight, right? So like if you're holding it right down at the beginning, like that will control in like the first third of your flight. If you're holding it down towards the middle of the power gauge, you can control. So it kind of decides when the ball's going to start curving the air, which is interesting, and I've used
Real
it to
cool
success.
And arcadey.
Right, and I've used it to some success. It's not the easiest thing, but once you figure out what you're doing, like it can be cool. But it's long story short is I really fucked it up when I was playing this dude, and he ended up beating me, and I was stoked because I was doing so well with my meat that can only like maybe hit 220 yards. He had a full 100-yard drive on me, and I duffed one shot, and that just did it for me. But I still feel like he knew that I was
right on his heels.
Yeah.
No, those spins are cool, but like none of the base. So like to not get too far into the weeds, like the Hades podcast, which is impossible to talk about 50 game mechanics that keep getting layered on. Based on your spin ability, you can get up to 4 quadrants. So what you were saying, like the beginning flight pattern, you can have your ball kind of dramatically shoot to the right, and then you can actually have it shoot back to the left. It's very arcadey, but it's very cool. Like, and if you do it right, you can do some really fun stuff and avoid the obstacles. And like it does take some mastery, but none of the base characters have the ability to do more than maybe even like 2 sections might be the max from like the most spin characters. Right. So it's kind of like this cool gameplay element, kind of just hidden just for the Mii's, which is interesting, right? It's like, well, all right, I guess. Like, but maybe, they'll come out with a character whose specialization is spinning next month or the month after. I'm curious as to if they're going to do a month-by-month thing. Like, they have no roadmap.
Right.
They're not, they're not a small developer. They don't owe us anything, so they're not going to tell us what or when anything's coming out. So that'll be interesting.
So I actually did complete the adventure mode.
Yeah.
And it was fun, or the golf adventure. And it was fun. It actually was like more addicting than I thought it would be, and I wanted to keep grinding. You had to like run through the little like golf village to get to places, which was like
the overworld was not the greatest use of their resources.
I don't know, but that's
for how short the mode is. Right?
That's been Mario Golf since day one. Like I don't even know why they keep doing it that way. People must be nostalgic for it or something.
Sure,
but yeah, beyond that though, like I think it was actually. I know that there's a lot of folks out there that are complaining that it's short. It is short, but I think it's like it's a glorified tutorial, right?
Yep. Fair.
So I think that it actually works pretty well. The story itself is like it's silly, it's like
gave people what they want. Luigi and Wario,
right? Waluigi, yeah. But no, it's like it's kind of fun. It's kind of cheeky. It's very Mario. You end up like you come in, you're this new fresh golfer that basically needs to learn the game, and then without spoiling too much, the next thing you need to do is save the world.
Yep, sure. And it's okay.
And I haven't had this game long enough. I think I'm on day 8. I was looking at my Nintendo profile, so it's going to be another couple days until they tell me how much time exactly I've sunk into it. But it's not that much.
About 5 hours from what I hear. And I'm sure if you stick around for like those chip challenges, which can get excruciatingly difficult.
Those are the hardest part, I thought.
I mean, I might have had a few too many drinks, and it might have slowed down my ability to nail some of them. But I remember spending like probably a good amount of time on one of the chip challenges where I was like, I actually like that this is pissing me off. Like, once again, I was here for the challenge.
So like every other challenge, gameplay challenge, I kind of didn't have a lot of trouble with. The chip challenges are the only ones that I actually failed on a couple times and had to redo.
Yeah.
You know what pissed me off though is so these chip challenges are like to help you learn these special shots like the duff shot and like some other like kind of cool features that you get in the golf adventure. They don't translate to the play golf adventure. So like the super duff shot, like I couldn't even maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Which is just like an extreme lob.
Yeah,
I don't know
totally.
where the duff comes from. I forget.
Yeah, no, I don't know because usually when you duff a shot, they probably do. Maybe I skipped through that, but like they call it a duff shot. Like in my experience with shot in golf, like if you duff a shot, that means you like totally biffed it, like you missed, like you fucked it up. So it's a weird. I thought that was a weird verbiage for them to choose, but I don't really care.
Right.
What I do care about is that I was able to do that in golf adventure and not able to do that in solo challenge or play golf. So
it's just like oddly disconnected.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with the spin meter going up to 4 segments of you can spin at 4 different points in the flight.
Right.
You can't do that with any of your other characters in the other game modes. So it's just kind of like unless you play as your Mii, which is overpowered.
Yep.
Like if then there is online. There is ways to be like Mii's or no Mii's.
Right. So when I did that online game, I actually took because I wanted to play as the Mii or whatever, and so you can set that, which is cool. I think that's cool. You can set it up. Yeah. No, it's silly though. It does feel a little piecemeal.
Did you have the chance to use like your special or your power shot, or was the match too short?
We only played 3 holes, but I did, yeah. So one of my shots I was able to use it
because and I played a full 18, which takes a long time, but it was fun. I was playing with my buddy, And it is, I do like, so in the past you used to have a certain amount of power shots that you could use, whereas now it's like a special meter and usually a special gauge, and like you use it. And it does,
that was
like,
interesting, I thought.
Yeah, with the special abilities, and like once again, if they continue to build on this game, I can see that being really cool. Because
your power meter goes up when you collect coins when you're doing the speed golf.
Oh, does it? I didn't even notice that.
It does, yep. So you collect the coins, it'll help you there. And then also, if you do well, so if like you hit a birdie, like you're gonna get a bigger chunk of your special shot or whatever.
But what's cool
that's
is
only in speed golf. So if you guys are just playing like match play or whatever, then you wouldn't be able to collect coins.
What's cool though is they have like area effects. So like Luigi's hits the ground and the ground turns to ice, and your ball sticks right where you landed it. But like if anybody else was in that area, you'll blow their ball out. Or if you went first, let's say you used it on an approach and you were super strategic, then when they're approaching, they could land on the ice, and then the grass is way different, and it could bounce off. So, like, there's a cool variance and, like, strategicness to that.
That is cool. I haven't experienced that yet too much.
And it would probably come in... They probably intended it mostly for the speed golf, which is, cool. But I think it's actually really cool in the regular golf, and that is cooler than the other special of the past. Sometimes there's some... Like, in the Mii mode, you have that fireball that seems to go really low.
That's what I was going to ask you, dude. Do you have the same... So, like, the Mii special is basically this fire blast, which... actually
hits trees
sucks.
and stuff. Yeah, like I'm gonna smash the green. F these computers, and then it's just like, oh nope, you're in the. And then one small complaint with the speed golf and that style is you run to wherever you hit the ball, which is fine and it's cool, and you get upgrades to your stamina, and you get stamina boosts out there, and you can drift behind other people and knock each other over. That's all cool, right? It's just that you never get to see your shot.
Oh yeah.
So you're like, I have no idea what happened, what's going on.
There's like your little profile like badge will show up where your ball is, and like that's the only thing I can pay attention to. But it does take away some of it's golf, bro. So like golf, there's part of like watching that arc, watching it drop.
When you really nail one, or like when you have like I don't. Until we just talked about the special thing, I'm like, am I using the wrong driver? Did I keep one of my low hitting specialty drivers in or something?
Sure. I did notice that the game is very forceful's not the word, but they hold your hand pretty heavily in club selection. Yeah. So like, but that's I don't want to give you secrets before we play, but that's huge. If you want to be a good golfer at this game, like it's pretty forgiving overall, I would say, but like. What I'm trying to say is, like, don't necessarily take their club selection.
No, and when you're in the adventure mode, like, if you talk to the people at the clubhouse, they'll be like, you're going to want this. And, like, you can go into the store and buy the, like, whatever the name's
too in the adventure mode are a lot of the stuff because it's a heavy bag would weigh you down, so it takes away your stamina. Yeah. So that's fine because, like, even in real life, I only play golf, not very much, but when I do, like, I probably keep it down.
When was the last time you picked up a glove?
Dog, I used to caddy. I am golf. I'm
just
kidding. I'm garbage at golf.
20 years now.
I'm still garbage at golf. Like I haven't played golf in probably 3 years.
No, I'm teaching myself this summer, and I got out for the first time for just the back nine, and a humbling experience.
Yeah, it's a tough sport, so it's always kind of funny. Like I love golf sims, like golf games.
Yeah, I've always really liked golf games versus the
it's
sport.
It's a cool sport, and it's interesting. Like some of this, like these modes, I think it makes the game itself more approachable for someone that maybe doesn't love golf, like the speed modes and stuff. I think it makes the game. It's a fucking boring sport, right? Like,
it's a gentleman's sport. Yeah. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, no, it's a gentle sport.
So I do think that, like, when we look back at like some of the decisions that Nintendo has made with this game, I think it is totally because they're trying to make it more approachable for an audience that's younger than me. Yeah.
So there's that, but there's also like that goes back to my gameplay complaint where it's just like you can do the speed golf and it's integrated into the adventure mode, and you can do low speed instead of low score by yourself, or you can play online speed golf or just like free play speed golf. And what I'm getting at here is there's just like I thought there would be more modes, and more areas for you to go into.
At the very least, in a tournament mode, bro. Yeah, like that. If you could move from
I don't feel like that would have been hard to do.
No, because it's like, and it's like thinking about this in the shower, like fuck, no.
That's where I get my good thoughts.
This is true though. I think it actually was a shower thought, which is like stupid. Well, anyways, so like if you're playing Golf Adventure, I think like I said, that's like this glorified tutorial that's fun. Really teaches you the mechanics of the game. But then afterwards, like, so I beat that, so there's no reason for me to continue the adventure mode really. So you get to do play golf, which is kind of just like a one-off thing, or solo challenge, which is also just kind of like one-off stuff. But you get some like options in there. I mostly will do, I think it's like stroke attack, or I don't know what they call it for sure. Score attack.
Yep, that's what I do as well.
So I play that one, and it's fun. But like, here's the deal: just paint a tournament mode over that, because that's all you're doing in tournament mode when you're playing by yourself.
Just trying to get ridiculously low score.
It's golf, so you're playing against people in a tournament, but it's golf, so you're always playing against yourself. So golf is always a score attack, right?
Yeah.
But if you add an AI element to just have some other people out there that are like playing as well, it makes you feel like you're playing for something.
Yoshi's right on my heels,
right,
bro.
Right.
Like,
it adds an element that I think is needed in this game. Like,
you can build up fake rivalries in your head.
Yeah,
like, I'm already doing too much of the work on my own, but like you can hold my hand a little bit, Nintendo.
Right. And it's
trying to be like, I'm trying to cuss out Yoshi, dog.
And they've had it.
Cuss out Yoshi.
Yeah, they've had it in past Mario Golf, so like, why take that away? I don't know. They better add it, dude. They better.
And then back to the course selection thing and all that, or the difficulty spikes, of which there is none.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it if each tournament just got harder. Like,
sure.
Even if you're not going to have, but if you want to win the Bowser tournament, you're going to have a low score on a very hard course.
Dude, that is Mario Golf 64 in a nutshell. All that was is
/ Toadstool Tour. That's all it was.
It's like tournament mode, and then each tournament gets harder. It's like, why is that not here?
I mean, I guess that was like 15, 20 years ago. They can advance a little bit. But
Are you trying to tell me that there's a whole population of people out there that thought tournament mode was bogus? I don't buy it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it was a weird oversight, because one of the strengths of the best comparisons to when looking at this game are Mario Tennis and Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And like both of those games nailed it better on release.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mario Kart's not really fair, although we ever get a new one.
Hey man, they're dropping the new Mario Party, so it's only a matter of time.
That's not a new Mario Party, bro. It's a reskinned. We'll get into that later. Oh my god. And they never added. So if we add a third thing to compare to, they never added to the Mario Party that came out for the Switch.
Sure. Yep. That was just a port, right, from the.
No, it was a brand new game for the Switch, and then they had 4 courses. They made them shorter because they're like, people like short gameplays. And then they never added a new course. They never added anything to it other than some online capability stuff. So it was like the whole time, I gave up on it, but the whole time I was like, are they even going to give me like a DLC I could buy for more game boards?
No.
And their answer was, we're going to dig up all the old Mario parties people liked and make you pay $60 for it.
Yeah,
so
greatest hits.
You look at Mario Tennis, you look at Mario Kart, and there's just some things from those games I wish they would have drawn more on.
Sure.
Because, like, the tournament mode in Mario Tennis is really cool, and you, like, match up steadily against people online.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually get worked.
Yeah.
But I won one once, and I screenshot it once, and it was dope.
I was wondering about the pairing in Mario Golf. Granted that as like the game recently dropped, so maybe doesn't have the biggest community online, but that also, like, they probably have the most excited community, because it's launch, right? So there's probably a lot of people that are trying to play online. I was a little confused because I didn't get matched with. I got matched with a group, a trio, and then one person didn't accept or whatever. I don't know, man. So I left that room, went in another room.
Yeah, you enter lobbies
blah, blah,
for
blah.
people who haven't played. It's interesting.
But I was curious, like, it's not that big a deal that I got matched with another player that had a me that could drive so far. But I was like, I wonder if there is a matching system or if it was all at random. You know what I mean? Like, because it would have probably been more enjoyable for me, even though there's like this element of like, well, I'm going to take on this dude with a souped up me and like try and beat him.
Get this challenge I complained there wasn't any of.
But yeah.
No, I don't think there is any matchmaking. I think it's straight up because I went to create a lobby and invite a friend. And that's how we played online. But it was like straight up. I think you just make a lobby with your parameters. Then if you just join a lobby, you're just finding one.
Yeah.
So there's no like, oh, your me is a level 42. You're gonna play this. No, you're in a lobby. Yeah. So it's a little underbaked.
Sure.
The base, the bones of the game are good. But if this was the full game in 2021 with the amount of hype we had for it.
Mm-hmm.
So if it ended today, if this was it, I'd give the game like a 5 or a 6 on the old numeric scale.
Ooh.
I mean, hey.
Out of 10, bro?
For a $60 game from a flagship company.
Yeah.
You have, like I said, with Mario Tennis, Mario Kart, you have the base of different modes and all these things you can pull from.
Sure.
I feel like if it's just this today, now in a year, if like half of the things because we're fanboys, it's going to be
pretty...
Add
a tourney mode and I'll give you a fucking 10.
Right. We're fanboys, so we're, one, impossible to please, but also relatively easy to please. Mm-hmm. We're easy to get money from, hard to please.
Right, yeah.
There's that. But like if we get half the stuff, if they give me 3 new courses, 4 new characters, a tournament mode, or something else to keep me playing, or even just harder AI, all those things are like tick, 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 tick. But as this game right now is awesome gameplay.
It's fun.
But you're going to make your own fun.
Right.
And or you're going to bounce off of it after 10 hours, and that's tough.
Yeah, and I'm wary of getting in... You little golf. We're in the deep rough when we start talking about, or a big sand trap when we're talking about like the amount of money that a game costs and its worth. Just because games, we live in a world where games are so different. So you have these big AAA, which technically this would be, releases, that have massive amounts of money behind them. Then you also have like some, indie developed games or whatever that come out and also cost money, but it's just hard to be like, well, this indie game should only be $20, but this Mario Golf should be 60. But the amount of gameplay you might get out of that indie game could be 200 hours, depending on the game or whatever. So it's just tricky to be like, oh, the value of games is a hard thing to nail down. But do I feel that this game is complete? No, I think I would go
like at base.
Right, at base. Right. For me, not having a tourney mode really was a bummer. And then I was like, well, they kind of won me back a little bit in the fact that the golf adventure was like, pretty engaging, and I was like, oh, this isn't too bad, and I was like trying to grind through stuff on it. But now it's done quickly, and I've only done maybe 4 or 5 solo challenges. At the end of the month, I might feel like, did I shelf this game already? And like for that to be shelved after only a solid 2-3 weeks of gameplay, that does kind of suck.
Old man corner. Can you imagine if they came out with Mario Golf 64 and then like 7 months later they're like, you can now get the second cartridge that has the next half of the game? Or like on the GameCube, a year later, they're like, here's the update on this new disc. Download. It'd be like the technology to do things has made things easier and harder, but it also allows these companies to kind of do whatever this is, which maybe I'll eat my words. Maybe they continue to add to this game and it's so cool. Or maybe.
They waited so long on this, dude. Like, how long's the Switch been out? 3, 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Mid-cycle, I read today. But anyways, 4 or 5 years. They took 4 or 5 years to get Mario Golf out here. Why couldn't you just... I would have waited another 3 years just to have, like, the perfect golf game. Because no one's waiting. Like, the only one waiting with bated breath was me.
Maybe. I mean, it's hard to say. We don't look at all the analytics. We're not crunching the numbers, but it's just... It's hard to believe. Because I was at Best Buy, trying to buy myself a new phone, tragically. And I saw the big stand, and like they're pushing it, like they expect this game to sell, and like it's their big summer game, from what I can tell. And then they got stuff in the fall, but like this is their big summer game, so it's just kind of like, you wonder, is this a necessity of the pandemic? Then maybe I could chill a little bit.
Maybe that's part of it.
It couldn't have made it easy, right? So like, and who knows how long it's been in development. We're both reading Schreier's new book, Press Reset, as far as you just learn just how brutal. Video game development can be. So, maybe, but it's like...
Does he ever talk about any... He's got a lot of great stories. Does he ever touch on any Nintendo?
No, you can't get old of Nintendo like that. You can't. I am always kind of curious in his books. He does have like a few developers that it's obvious that he's able to get access to people in that orbit, whereas like you never hear. And that's why, not to get out of totally in the woods here, but it's just like... Nintendo does such a bad job of cutting down their hype cycle, and they do such a bad job of maintaining fan. like they're so secretive, so fans' ideas just run rampant, and then what we create in our minds as the next great Nintendo masterpiece comes out, and we're like, oh, that wasn't half as cool as what I dreamed up.
Sure.
So it's like they set the bar so high on themselves by being so secretive. It's fascinating.
It is. It's a fascinating thing for sure. Word, man. So I guess I'm with you. I think after like digesting a couple of your points and thinking about how much time I've actually put in this game, like I think I can't go higher than a 6. If I was like, if you were like throw down a fucking rating, I'd be like, you're right, it's a 6. Yeah. With potential, but right now it is a 6. Indeed. That does not. I'm not saying don't play this game. This game is fun, and you can make a lot of your fun out of it. I'm hoping that it gets fleshed out.
Yeah. So if you're someone who's more tight with the wallet and doesn't just throw money at Daddy Nintendo all the time, I would wait. I'd wait a little bit and see what's good with as far like it'll never really go on sale. That's also how Nintendo operates.
Might drop $5 here or there.
Yeah, you can get the $20 off at like Black Friday, but like either wait for that or like give it some time. And if they have like some major updates and like maybe that will give the sales a long tail as far as maybe hype will ramp up when like a new adventure mode.
Right.
Or a new tournament mode is dropped, or when a new, challenges are dropped, or a new character, whoever comes in. So hopefully, yeah.
So you give it a 5 or 6. I give it a 6. You're about to give it a fucking 3 after I take you to town on this shit after the cast.
Kyle's going to quit. We're going to play for car slips. This week is brought to our cease and desist non-sanctioned sponsor is Trusting Your Gut, a.k.a. when you see 100 commercials for Burger King selling a new chicken sandwich, don't trust that chicken sandwich. It's Burger King. Burger's in the name. It was trash. I hate everything. It hurt my stomach. It did not even taste good going down. It was just a violent experience. And, just don't trust Burger King ever.
I'm sorry, Burger King. Your burgers are delicious. If you want to give us that King money,
yeah,
I won't send it away. Well, I'm not above the Burger King money.
I'll put all my prejudice. I'll pimp the shit out of that chicken sandwich with the money. But it was trash, and chicken sandwiches similar to cranberries and yogurt, how they just exploded and took over the world. Like cranberry juice is just in everything now, and yogurt, there's like 30,000 flavors. Like everybody's
TikTok.
Yeah, everybody's got to have. Well, that was earlier in TikTok. Everybody's got to have a chicken sandwich. Not you, Burger King. You did not need a new chicken sandwich.
Stop fucking with Burger King. Try and get that King money.
Do better, Burger King. That's all.
All right, we had a bunch of questions sent in from 0 people because we have not asked for people to send in questions. But in the future, if you have any questions, do feel free to send them our way.
Give us that free content. We'll shout you out.
Give us that free content. But no, we're interested to hear what you have to say. If you have questions for us about our gameplay, about anything, it doesn't really matter. Just send it, and I'll throw in a little bit about where to send it to. But I don't have an email set up, so...
Post-production was good.
Yo, what's up, everybody? We do have an email now. You can send your questions, thoughts, comments, whatever. You want to just chat via email? Hit us up. It's hello@low5gaming.com. Hello at LOWFIVEGAMING.com.
Regrettable gaming purchases, both recent and historical. So this is just kind of stemming in from now I don't feel like I wasted money with the Mario Golf, though.
I was about to say,
but I just feel like it's just, and we'll get to a follow-up question, it's like, just, you change your style of purchasing. I always make fun of you for being a collector, but like, this doesn't matter as much to me anymore.
Right.
But when I was a teenager, especially when you got your own money, or when you were a kid and it's Christmas or your birthday, and that's it. When you get new games, those purchases matter. And if you're stuck with a clunker, it's kind of just pains you for quite a while.
Totally.
Whereas now I'm just like, ugh, what a waste of money. But do you have anything that comes to mind? Anything you're just like, why did I even buy that?
So the studio is placed in my game room / office. So I am looking around at all my silly toys,
so many
games, and I don't regret any of it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't. I mean, I all this stuff brings me joy, right? That said, I do have a massive backlog, and it's not that that's not necessarily a regrettable thing, but it does bring me unnecessary anxiety, which is which is like a silly thing. Like, I should get more games because this one's gonna be dope, and it'd be so cool to have this game, which is true. But then when you get to a point where you have all these games, and it's just like, will I ever play this one? Hopefully, but you kind of have to let go of the idea that you're going to play every game to completion. Once you let go of that, it becomes less of a problem. And I think you are the one who actually turned me on to the idea of like, so Nintendo, Steam, some other, a whole bunch of entities have done this now, but they track your gameplay.
Steam and Nintendo, it's just more accessible.
Right.
Like Nintendo, it's like boop, and you can see how many hours you've played each
which
game.
I like that.
Steam is pretty similar.
Yeah, so that I do like that, and then I start, it gets me crunching numbers, and I'll be like, oh, this game cost me $60, but I put in 80 hours of gameplay, so like that is good value. Then there's like another game that I might have bought that was $30, and I put in less than an hour. It's like maybe not the best purchase. So to answer that question, the regrettable purchases I've made are certain games on the digital store that I have not played, and I don't like lose sleep over this, but it's just like because I don't have something tangible from it, and I haven't gotten that threshold of time to make it worth it, and it maybe wasn't what I've started to do is I've started to watch more YouTube gameplay and stuff like that to really instead of being like, this game looks really intriguing, I think I'm going to download it.
Yeah, doing a little research.
Yeah, I've started doing a little bit more research just to make sure that I'm not doing that. Like there's a prime example would be Malacca, which is like kind of a cool game. Like I've only put in like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, I remember you sending me videos like, bro.
Yeah, I mean it was kind of cool. Like and it was like this was like early.
You supported someone.
It's like
with indie games.
Exactly.
You supported someone. Yeah.
And this is early Switch too, and like
there was a dearth of games available at the time. That was real.
I had more or less completed Zelda, and I was looking for a similar vibe, Breath of the Wild. And this kind of was. Saying it was gonna give me
chasing
that.
Quite the dragon there. But continue.
No, totally. Yeah. So it was good, but like it just wasn't what I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Not to say that's not that game's not cool, because it is cool. There's a lot of cool aspects about that game, but it was a digital purchase. If I would have bought that game a physical purchase, I would have felt better about that because it would retain value, and like I wouldn't sell it down the line, but it's something that in theory I could. Another game that kind of just looking around at some of the stuff around in here, I ended up going. I don't want to say I didn't go full send on Starlink, but I got really into it for a while. It was really like I had a lot of fun with it, and then it's
the collector, and you couldn't help yourself.
Totally.
Star Fox.
It's a tricky game though. So I got the game because they like discounted the shit out of this game, right? Yeah. So I got the bonus, or not the bonus pack, but I got the intro starter pack, which comes with like Star Fox's ship and like Star Fox and whatever the main character's name is. That's not Star Fox. Who cares?
Slippy.
Right. But he can't play as those guys, but they're in it too.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe you can. I don't know. I put a decent amount of time into this game once I start, because the tricky thing about them is, so it's this toy to life stuff. So you can buy all these ships. You can buy them digitally, but that's fucking boring, right?
So lame.
Compared
to having a cool ship in my office.
So I ended up using Macari. Hey, Macari, you want to sponsor this podcast? Just kidding. Well, no, I'm not. Anyways,
we'll take Burger King's money. We'll take your money.
Yeah. But anyways, I ended up getting a bunch of the ships off Macari and eBay and stuff, which was kind of fun. It was like this fun little thing because you can in turn then fly as those ships, right? And if you like blow one up, you can pop the other one on, but you can't unlock those unless you've paid money to the digital store, or if you have the physical ship and you click that onto the little controller, and then you get to fly as that ship. So kind of cool. But then I had like 7 of these ships in my small office, and like I didn't really care about any of them except for the Star Fox ship.
It is cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
But and then I kind of like fell out of favor with the game. Like I just like got pulled into something else. Like it had my attention for a solid like week or two. I was having a lot of fun with it, but then I just moved on. And then I had all these ships, so I sold them, and I recouped my cost.
Right. For me, this definitely stems from looking at the Steam account, looking at my own hours played, and then the amount of games that I have purchased in a sale, which we'll get to later, that I have no idea when I'm going to get to. I tell myself I'll play them at some point, but they're usually retro games. As far as like they're really important to me at some point in time, I'm like, available on the computer, let's go.
Sure.
And then they're on sale, so I get those. Similar to your Malacca, there's a game called Windbound that I got really swept up in some like pre-hype. Yeah. And the game was cool. It just like would crash, and like I ended up putting my first 10, 15 hours, and I was like really hyped for the game, really thought it was going to be cool, and then meh.
The teasers look cool.
Yeah, so you kind of learn your lesson there. One that I'm softer on it now than when I first did it, but I bought the Kirby when it came out.
Oh yeah,
the Star Alliances, and like here's another instance of a grown man just like, why is this game so easy and short?
Funny.
And I'm like, Kirby's definitely for children, bro. What you choose?
Kirby's always been easy and short, and that's why I love Kirby. So but it is funny though to like you know.
Yeah. And I brought it to school. I had some little homie play it.
Sure.
And like I've borrowed it to friends who quickly play it. They added more on content, which was interesting. More post content stuff too. But I remember seeing like the game reviews and being like a 7, but it was like so early in the Switch life cycle, and I was so hyped for this new one. I always liked Kirby as a kid.
Right.
So for one of the first games I ever beat on my own was one of the Kirby's for the N64. So like I realized that after I was mad at the game, and I was like, well, this one's on you a little bit, yeah. And then if I'm looking back historical, it's kind of funny, but like, so there's, if you've played Battlefront 1 and 2, yes, the OGs, PlayStation.
Yeah. Played them for the OG Battlefront on PC back in the day, yeah.
Okay, brilliant games. Loved them. You and your friends LAN parties for days. You just grind on these things. Galactic Conquest. I actually booted it up on Steam. Bought it because it was on sale, and I had to. Don't regret that, though. There's actually still quite the strong player base. It's hilarious, but they came out with a Lord of the Rings version.
Okay.
On the PlayStation 3 and probably the corresponding Xbox.
When you say Lord of the Rings version, do you mean they incorporated Lord of the Rings characters into Battlefront, or they have
no,
a
it was
Lord
a
of the Rings
Battlefront style, not modern day Battlefront, because those
Okay.
games are just Call of Duty, Star Wars.
Right.
It was the Battlefront style gameplay, but it was in the Lord of the Rings universe. So I was like, you have like the kind of, you get a base and you take the base and you storm it. You got to hold these points. Different game modes, story mode, all that stuff. And it was another instance of like, I was so hype on a game. I didn't buy, but I downloaded the demo. I played it. I was really excited for it. And I hate to base so much off of reviews, but you really should. You really should read some stuff. So that was another game where I
feel you. I don't like people like tipping my hand to, or what's a good saying? I don't want to.
You don't want to be guided or influenced.
I want to come in with an unbiased opinion on stuff, but nonetheless, like, there's a wealth of information out there, and a lot of times it probably steers you in the right direction.
So that one stung because I'm pretty sure I like saved up lawn mowing money or something silly. And it was like a full $60, and it was one of those ones where you see it on the bargain bin pile not too shortly after, and the whole thing is you want to play communally with your friends, but your friends don't own the game.
Is Lord of the Rings third person?
Yeah, in hindsight, it's kind of funny I'm complaining about it because I would boot that up.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll play some.
It was kind of dope, but it was also like,
this is different from the Lord of the Rings, like where you run around as like kind of a fighter.
Dude, Lord of the Rings Two Towers slaps to this day. That
I
game was lit.
That was cool.
That needs a separate time and podcast. But no, this one was basically Battlefront, but with Star Wars skin.
Okay, interesting.
And it was really cool, but like also kind of like if like we were to play like a Street Fighter game right now, you don't play a ton, but you've played more than me. You'd probably whoop me up, and it's like almost no fun for you because it's just like you invite someone over. You like if we went to my house and we played MLB The Show, I'd crush you these days.
Yeah, probably.
And it'd be no fun for anyone because it's me. I'm just playing with my food and hoping you're having fun, and you just like, oh, cool, he struck me out again. Or
that's like me when I invite my wife to play video games with me.
Yeah.
I don't go easy on her either.
Right? No, never. You just gotta learn them. But yeah, like especially Mario Party, I'll like play nice for a minute, but I'll stab you in the back in a second. I ain't scared. Mario Kart 2, like I ain't playing all these low speeds. Let's go.
That's what I love about Mario Kart though. Is like that game. Even if you're not great at video games, like you can be decent at that game.
Yeah, you can have. A good time.
But then you get people that are like good at Mario Kart and they like whip you right up. So
right. But yeah, that was a game where like even the cool aspects of it, like my friends couldn't really get into it.
Sure.
So it's just me and my own one. It was all right. Piggy backing right off of that. What are you an absolute sucker for? When you see a game, you know you're gonna buy it, and you don't even care if the game comes out good. Usually, you're a sucker pre-order, all of it.
I mean, anything Zelda, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. I still haven't done Hyrule. Is it the Cadence of Hyrule?
Cadence Hyrule slaps. That one's worth it.
Right. No, I just haven't done it yet. But that's like the only Zelda that I haven't been like. Oh, that's not entirely true. But Zelda.
No, you didn't do the Dynasty Warriors one or the new one. Did you even buy the new one?
Dynasty Warriors?
No, it's called Hyrule Warriors.
Oh yeah, no.
And then they had a dumb separate name for the one before there, and the one that came out a while ago. That's like just a Zelda skin slap. That's another one I was a sucker for. Early pandemic, like this game's gonna be great, and I was like played it for 20 minutes. I was like, no.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
Whereas the Hyrule Warriors looks like it has a bit more life to it.
Full-fledged Zelda games, I'm gonna get that. Like when Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, and there's no I don't even care if it's poorly reviewed. Like I will get that, and it won't be because Nintendo won't allow it. Metroid is like another one that I'm all in on. And I'm super excited about Metroid Dread that coming out, and I've been really.
Do you have anything that's non-Nintendo? Is it the Nintendo Nostalgia Factory or?
No, well, so
because that's a huge part of my answer as well. So clearly, no judgment there. But like, are you a sucker for any other type of game?
I mean, Grand Theft Auto. I've bought Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City. I have like 4 copies of that shit because I want to be able to play it all over the place.
Chasing high school Alex is high.
Yeah, and that's another nostalgia thing. Probably, like I can play Grand Theft Auto on my phone. Grand Theft Auto 3 on my phone. I can play it on my iPad. I can play it on my computer. So like that series, like it's just been so solid that like that's another one that's kind of up in there. I have a weird one right now because I do some collecting, and I've been chasing a bunch of Castlevania games for the Game Boy.
Sure.
But I've actually
Game Boy specific. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not gonna I don't have a PlayStation anymore, so like I'm not gonna go buy a really expensive Castlevania PlayStation game that just sits on the shelf. One thing about me and my collecting is I want to be able to play that game. Like it's got to be something I can play. Whether that's 10 years from now, whether that's like when I'm 89, who knows?
Catch up on that backlog.
Yeah. But Castle. So that's like a weird one where I think there's just so like I just love the history behind that franchise. Like the Netflix series slapped. But yeah, what else would there be? I don't know.
Yeah, it's mostly Nintendo, right? It's always mostly Nintendo, and it's the nostalgia. And then, I'm kind of jealous. I'm not jealous of the PlayStation 5. That's a separate category. Could be a whole different conversation of its own. But they have the new Ratchet and Clank on there, and it looks gorgeous. And I have a fun little history with that game. So, like, I am kind of jealous of that. But there's a theme there with nostalgia. You are generally chasing games you played in your early childhood or high school. So for me, it's not just the Nintendo stuff, but it's also like, I guess the only modern example I'd have is like just random city builders and Sims.
Okay.
And I'm here for. I bought a bunch of those recently, and I'm here to try those out, even if they're no good.
So compounding on that, what is a game that isn't out there, but you're like, they need this to happen? Like, what is your ideal game that needs to drop that you're just like you're missing that in your in your life?
A Zelda sim where like essentially they have such distinct regions and they have such distinct architecture and like systems and races and all those things where like I think some sort of city builder management thing could actually be like incredibly cool. Even if it was like I know they kind of do these more commonly kind of chasing the StarCraft AoE type vibe, but I know like with Halo they had like a version of like a base building real-time strategy.
Totally. Yep.
So anything in that category with the Zelda IP, I would really chase. My previous answer would have been a modern Mario Golf. My take, though, is I wanted it to be Luigi's Revenge, and I wanted it to be this whole story mode based on how like Mario's basically being a dick, and that's why they won't do it. But Mario and everybody's just making fun of Luigi because he's no good at golf, and then you have to like grind and eventually like beat Mario and like all that.
Make Mario the bad guy.
Yeah. I thought that would be like really funny and kind of cheeky, and it's the perfect like you have to protect Mario's image everywhere, obviously, but like that's like the perfect avenue to get like a really goofy story in.
Dude, you've been thinking on this
so long. And then like break off of that is like disc golf is not a big enough sport. They're in development of making video games about it,
right?
And like I think they're trying to chase realism too much. But like I think if you look at that arcadey golf style and you look at the way a disc flies, a disc can do like what I'll try to speak to a non-disc golf nerd community here, but you do what's called like an S curve where it you throw the disc and it goes out to the right. And then it curves back left. And like you can do really cool stuff with flight patterns, like in real life with the way these plastics are made and what you do with the release angle, that like a arcadey styled disc golf game would be really cool.
Sure.
And then to have the cachet of the Mario universe in there would make it so fun. But like, they're not sitting around in Japan and being like, how do we make Mario disc golf? Yeah, right. But like,
did you ever play? I think it was on PS3.
Top Shots.
No, like it was a disc golf game specifically for PS3. I want to say that's when they introduced the motion controls.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, it was all right. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not a motion guy. Like, I want to sit down for that game.
Sure.
How about you? Anything you think of, or that was?
Nah, man. There's nothing that I'm like. If you would have asked me this prior to our latest E3, before we had the Metroid Dread announcement, I would have been like, give me that Metroid game. I want a new one. And we're getting it. So I'm stoked about that. It looks really fun. And I think it's really interesting, too, because like I think that like it could just be Nintendo and their marketing team catering specifically to like the fact that like I probably have a bunch of Metroid activity on my computer. But I get slammed with the Metroid advertisement on social media feeds so much. And I'm like,
they're like that restock on that new Metroid, the Dark Metroid restock amiibo coming out. Al, you gonna buy it twice,
dude? The game itself just for Dread, and I'm like, I think that Nintendo is dumping a lot of money into Dread and I'm happy about that because if this flops. It'll probably be a great game, right? It's been in development hell for like ever or whatever. It was shelved because they couldn't do some of the whatever. They have a bunch of reasons.
AI tracking of you, kind of not at Alien Isolation level, but that idea of like the computer adapts to you and your gameplay. They even though it's 2D, they didn't have the AI technology for that.
Yeah, so they have some reasons, which is interesting and cool. It is one of those things though where this franchise the Metroid world environment, if there's gonna be more Metroid games, like this one has to do good.
It does.
And I think it's really interesting because I do see like they just announced today, as of this recording, the new Switch OLED version.
Dumb name.
But that's exactly what it is, and it's like we can talk
call
more about that.
Switch heavy.
So they're dropping it the same day as Metroid Dread. Like, so there's all this. I can see the marketing machine. Like, they're trying to get Dread to be successful, which I hope it is.
So to jump ahead, is that your most anticipated game for the rest of the year? Is anything else circled on your calendar, or is it Metroid Dread or bust? October release, I believe.
Skyward Sword, I've never played, so I'm excited to check that out. I missed that because it was a Wii thing, and I never had a Wii. So that one, I'm excited to play that. But then other than, I think those two are the only two.
Does Skyward Sword even compete with Dread? Like, are they neck and neck? Because that actually kind of surprises me.
That I'm excited about Skyward Sword?
That you would put it on the same level as Dread.
Oh.
Or is it a
well, it's
1A
Zelda,
or is
so
it
I'm
1-2?
I mean, it's Zelda, so I'm pretty excited about it. I think the fact that it is a remake makes it a little less exciting for me, whereas Dread is a brand new game. It makes so that's elevated a little bit higher.
I'm excited by the 2D-ness of it too.
Yeah, I've actually never played. For as much as I love Metroid, I haven't. I have definitely played chunks of Prime, but I have not played Prime 2 and 3. And
make them accessible. 4 is never coming out.
Right. Yeah, 4. That's right. 4.
Give us the trilogy.
Dude, they're dropping Metroid 5 before Metroid 4.
I know.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Nintendo.
But so yeah, no, I'm excited for Skyward Sword. I think it makes the like in the E3 they had a little teaser for the Breath of the Wild where they're gonna bring shit into the air, and like so that makes sense now why they're like introducing this the way that they are. So.
I'm still incredibly hurt that they're not doing like the Super Mario 3D All Stars with Zelda, because Nintendo, we all want to play these games, and so many of us are willing to spend so much money to play old games on a new console. So
sure. Yeah.
I really wanted Wind Waker so badly on
cool.
a Switch, and I really wanted Twilight Princess, because I actually recently did borrow a copy of Skyward Sword and played it on the Wii like 2 summers ago, and it was fun and it was a cool game, but I just hated the Wii, and it's just so like I'm actually I will buy it, even though I got to like the last temple before we moved, and I just didn't really feel like resetting it up and doing all that. So like I will get that. I'll definitely buy Metroid Dread day one. F what I said earlier. I ain't going to look at no reviews. I'm just going to buy it. But the game I'm actually most anticipating myself is called Humankind, and I want to say the publisher is Sega. Could look that up real quick.
Interesting, yeah.
Essentially, it is a challenger to the Civilization throne.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a 4X, which is like expand... I don't know, look up 4X. If you know anything about you. If you've never played Civ, I doubt you know this game is coming out or is going to exist, but it's very much it's their own take on Civilization. It's really cool. It's less like colonial.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm actually very curious because Civ 6 has been out for a long time. They've done a ton of DLC, but I've pretty much put an embarrassing amount of hours into that game, so I'm ready for a fresh take. I'm ready for anything even close to that area. So that's probably my number one hyped game.
Yeah,
I will not buy that. I will sit around to see how it gets received and if it like plays well. Because
oh sure,
yeah, because to go back, I bought another strategy game recently called Evil Genius 2, and I had watched so many YouTube hype videos of it, and I really loved the art a lot, and I really loved the concept of what the game could be. And if we're talking about a big financial disappointment, that one's up there. I forgot to mention that one earlier, but I want to say it was like a $40 game, which is a lot on the PC.
Talk some homies into it too.
No, I bought it for someone's birthday, so he seemed to like it though, so we good.
Cool.
But yeah, no, it wasn't. I only put like 10 hours into it, and I haven't picked it back up since. And it's just, that's not. I can put 10 hours into a good strategy game, a good base building game. I can get 10 hours in a weekend, so it was disappointing.
Yeah, this is a tough question for me just because I do follow the news, obviously, and I do get excited for new releases, but I also have this massive backlog. So, like, I'm more, instead of like being like, oh, what's that next thing you're going to give me? I'm more like, oh, what's the next thing on my backlog that I want to cross off? Something I picked up during the Steam sale was Half-Life 1 and 2. So I'm excited to check those out because I've actually never played those. And then there's this, I've been working my way through some other stuff on there, and it's like, so I'm less focused on what's the new stuff that's going to drop and come out. Not that I don't care about it, but and then more so about like, oh, what's the next cool game that I want to knock off that backlog.
So let's transition there. So what are you currently playing, or what did you cop on the Steam sale? Because they could probably, merge right here. So we got the summer Steam sale.
Yeah.
We're going to complain about how we buy and add to our backlogs. That stress us out. But then the Steam sale drops, and we're like, dang, dog, $2 for Half-Life. I might play that eventually.
For sure. I end up getting, like I said, Half-Life 1 and 2. I'm stoked about that. I know you told me you got Black Mesa, which is awesome. That was also on sale. Part of me was like, oh, well, like, I'm just not going to get that because I like already paid for the original one, and like I just kind of want to get the vibe, which is kind of, it's like a silly weird thing, but like I don't know, I just want that experience.
Sure. Play it as it was.
Yeah, as it was meant to be.
Made and what blew up and people talk about stuff.
Yeah, and that said, the whole reason Black Mesa was even made was because it's like all these quality of life and graphical, like it's going to be a better experience.
Sure.
But, you know, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah, no, we can play it and talk about it.
Yeah.
That'll be kind of funny.
And then, and the other two games that I got is I got Hitman 1 and 2. So the Hitman 2016 Game of the Year edition, which is like a souped up graphics wise of like some previous Hitman stuff. It's kind of like a reboot to the franchise almost. And then Hitman 2, and I've been playing a bit of Hitman, which is I've been enjoying, and yeah, that's all I did for Steam. I got some homies out there that dropped mad money on the Steam sale, but my backlog's already so big. I was just like I can't.
To bring a few themes together, so I go bargain shopping on the Steam sale, and like, man, half the fun of Steam is looking through the store. You end up buying stupid stuff, but I got a lot of different cool little smaller games, and I won't go into all of them into too much detail because, you know, it's not too interesting. Like you mentioned, I got the Half-Life games as well. Pretty excited for that. We'll play that along. And then another game I might force you to buy and play along too is, to bring kind of some themes together, is Darksiders. You ever heard?
No.
So Darksiders is, I don't know much at all about it other than it's constantly compared to The Legend of Zelda.
Oh,
so
interesting.
It's considered like a Zelda-like.
Okay.
The
like
3D mode.
Like, huh?
Like a good Zelda. Like they had, I want to say, at least 3 games. And I got the first one.
That Malacca shit.
Remastered. No, I got you.
That's so not fair because the like.
Yeah, no, it was cool.
Malacca is kind of cool
it's
concept.
based on like native Mexican
heritage.
So
like all that shit's
there's
cool.
a lot of cool stuff
it's just
there.
Clunky gameplay.
And then recently, I got a gift of Going Medieval, which is a colony sim base builder type experience. There is a community behind this. It's super obscure. Most people probably won't know of it, but there is a pretty strong community behind this. It's in early access right now, and the first half hour was absolutely miserable. First half hour, maybe even hour and a half. And then I finally got good enough and competent enough at the game where like failure was actually kind of cool because you're like, ooh, when I start over, like I'm going to do all these things and like everything's going to be so much more proper.
Sure.
And like I sent you a pretty frantic text. And I love those little moments because those are little moments that you remember forever, right? Like if we're talking back in Civ, there's moments where like I've won and I was winning almost the entire time in a Civ match. And like, I don't remember anything, but there's moments where like I wasn't prepared and like Japan just came in with a bunch of samurai and just wrecked me.
Sure.
Or like I was battling with France on like the choke point of a continent for like the entire time, like a never-ending war, and like it was just a struggle the whole time. Those are the things I actually remember.
Interesting, yeah.
In this game, you start off with 3 settlers and then new settlers like kind of find their way to your settlement, but sometimes they're like, yo, he's on the run. Like if you take him in, you're going to get a raid.
Oh, interesting.
And sometimes you just get raided anyway.
Sure.
So I didn't really know like how punishing it was going to be, and I didn't know like the mechanics of how you should defend yourself and like, you know, get into that, and you could spend way too much time getting into the nitty-gritty of this game. But basically what had happened is I had set up all this colony, and there's production chains, and there's these different, you go deer hunting, and you got to butcher the deer, and then you got to put it in the smokehouse, and I had all these things going. And I lost like 3-4 of my settlers in a raid. Like 3-4 of them died, and I only had like 6.
Sure.
So all of a sudden, I had 3 of them.
Your population, Doc.
I know, dude. It was devastating because each settler has their own skill sets and desires.
Sure.
So like, there's thresholds. Like you need to be a 10 cooking to smoke meats. And all of a sudden, it was like just winter's about to hit. I'm like a day or 2 away from winter, and half my settlement dies. And like 3 of my most skilled workers died. So I'm left with like the least competent, and I'm like scrambling, and I know there's going to be another attack sometime soon.
Sure.
And I can't build the things I want. I can't cook the things I want. And I'm like spiraling out of control. And I ended up playing that file until another raid came through and finished me off. But it was like so much fun to start up the new file and do everything that I learned from that.
Sure.
And I've done that another time. And now I have 1 settler who's died the whole time. And I'm like 8-9 deep now. And I got like this big fancy fort, and I got like an underground.
Build another tent, bro.
Yeah, I got this underground like basement thing going to cool my food in the summertime. Like it gets way crazy with the nitty gritty details.
What's this game called?
Going Medieval. It's very fun.
Okay, cool.
So that's been the big thing, and then obviously we're both playing some Mario Golf, and yeah.
Yes. As far as beyond the Steam sale, other stuff I've been playing is I end up so I have Xbox Game Pass, which is pretty cool, and it is
premium backlog.
Yeah, right. And it's also for me, it's like a lot of the games I like a lot of 2D side scroller type stuff on there. A lot more of the arcadey games I like to pop in and play. But the thing about this the Game Pass is they have like a really robust catalog and new stuff every month. But it's just like Netflix, right? So you have new stuff coming in, but stuff leaves. So one game that kind of piqued my interest a while back was The Messenger.
Gorgeous game.
Super cool, dude.
Never played it, but it is gorgeous. I've always had it on like if it drops low enough on sale, I'll probably cop list.
So it was leaving Game Pass, and I knew it was a game that I still wanted to play, and I also knew a lot of these games are games that work really well on the Switch. Mm-hmm. The same week that it got announced that it was, I don't know if this was like a marketing strategy or whatever, but it just kind of coincided with it real nicely. It was on my wish list on Nintendo, and it went on sale when it was leaving Xbox.
Nice.
So I did snag it, and I've been really enjoying that one. So it's basically like
Switch is like the perfect home for that game. So even though you had it for free on your computer, you probably always secretly wanted to be playing it on your Switch.
That was always kind of the plan. But then it went on sale, so I copped it, and it's been a lot of fun, man. I've only probably put in like maybe 5 hours so far, but it's a very like Shinobi or Ninja Gaiden. It's like in the same vein, like it's a spiritual successor to those games or whatever. It's got this like 16-bit art, really awesome like music.
It fluctuates, right?
Well, it's interesting because it's like I think it's mostly 16-bit, but there are screens that like definitely have more of an 8-bit vibe. So like the gameplay is more 16-bit, but there's certain elements of it that seem like it's
part of the big gimmick of the game is it goes back between the 8 and the 16.
I don't know if we're thinking the same thing. I'll show it to you. But that could be. I don't know.
Maybe you haven't gotten there yet.
The music is great, though, and it's a lot of fun. And, like, the way it's super self-aware, which is, like, really cool, too. So, like, the story itself is, like, you're this, like, kind of angsty ninja that, like, doesn't want to be practicing with the ninjas anymore.
Sure.
And then, like, long story short, some bad shit happens. Like,
developers grew up on Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly. But it's super self-aware and cheeky and funny, and it's been a lot of fun to go through.
That whole genre. So like I'm a big Shovel Knight guy. Mm-hmm. Did you ever end up playing it or beating it?
Yeah, but I didn't end up beating it. So that's the one that I want to return to because I did put in about 3, 4, 5 hours into that one as well, and then I just got pulled off and did something else. But I was really enjoying it.
Just the premium retro modern, just like even with the 2D Metroid coming out, it's like it seems weird to go quote unquote backwards into 2D or into lo-fi graphics or 16 or 8-bit graphics again, but like.
It's an art form now, though.
It is. It's a lot of fun. So, like, I always am a sucker. If we're talking about what are you a sucker for, that I think that it's all nostalgia based. I swear, but I'm a sucker for those games too. I tap in when I see an art like that. I'm like, ooh, that looks gorgeous.
Super cool, dude.
Well, it's time for me to slap Al's face around in Super Mario Golf. He'll upload the footage of him losing. Sweet.
All right, man. Till next time.
Boopity boo.
Lo-Fi Gaming is a Studio Lo-Fi production. Our theme music was produced by AJ Norman, and our show art was designed by Studio Dayjob. We're an independent podcast and would love if you supported us by listening, subscribing, and sharing us with your friends. Visit us at lofigaming.com.